The Lord bless each and every one of you, dear saints. I'm your sister Kelly, and you are the Remnant Rising. All the way back in Exodus chapter 3, God reveals himself to Moses. I am that I am. One of the most weightiest statements in the entirety of Scripture. I am that I am tells us about his great sovereignty, self-existence, something that we don't have. We exist because of him. God does not exist because of anything or anyone. He has always been and always will be. I am is such a powerful statement. We've talked often about the importance of you knowing your identity. Me too. We have to know who we are, the new creature, right? No longer who we once were. Having been crucified with Christ, it is no longer we who live, but now Christ that lives through us. And when God looks at us, he sees Jesus Christ. Truly, he sees the Son in you, which is why we're referred to in scriptures as the sons of God. Daughters too. When it comes to worry and fear, doubt and disbelief, we sometimes make the mistake of saying, I am afraid. I am worried. Without going into much more detail, you're intelligent people. I don't have to tell you why that is so dangerous or why we need to correct ourselves, pray for deliverance of our tongues, and really know that when we're vocalizing these things, it really speaks to an issue of our hearts, because out of the heart, out of the mouth, the abundance of the heart speaks. So what's in your heart, it comes out in your words. What's in your heart comes out in your actions. You are not fear. You are not doubt. You are not worry. You are not disbelief. These really lower level feelings will try to convince you that you actually are these things. Fear is an actual spirit. And when its presence oppresses us, meaning something unclean is so close to you who are now spiritual, because so you can preserve way more than you can actually see. When the spirit of fear is near you, you may actually feel its manifestation, which is fear. The key there is to know that that's not you. You don't have to own that. It's so much greater than not, we say don't chase your feelings, don't walk after your feelings, 100%. But also recognize that these really are spirits. And when they get so close to you, rebuke them and make them go away. Your portion is peace. And they come in at times when you're walking in peace. And when you're finally getting your stride and doing the new thing, here comes doubt and disbelief and worry, right? Rebuke them. Begin walking in authority. In even these seemingly smaller ways. We all have to start on training wheels. And eventually the wheels come off. It's bit by bit. But if we don't start to do these little things, it's hard. We must crawl before we walk, and then we run. We have to start somewhere. Take control of what God has endowed you to take control of. We're not here for our will, right? But it is not God's will for our lives that we should walk forever in fear, constantly worried and doubt and disbelief. Frankly, these things overshadow God when we let them. When we're saying, I am afraid, then we're saying God's not protecting me. That's what we're in our hearts. We're not really sure that God would protect us. So we say, I'm afraid. But for those whose hearts are well aware of who the Lord is and how he is just fierce for you, jealous for you, a warrior for you, then you know never to be afraid. Never to be afraid. I mean it. It's not only possible, it's a command in the Bible for a reason. Now, you sons and daughters of God, part of your inheritance is fearlessness in a world, on a plane that is based in fear, loves to make afraid, but more than it loves to make like people afraid, like narcissists, right? Bullies, Satan, demons. More than that, people love to be afraid. That victim mentality, the constant overbearing sensitivity that we can't even say the truth to anyone without somebody melting, somebody freaking out on us. That's not your portion. Fear's not your problem. It's not. And so when an unclean spirit is near you and you start to feel these feelings, rebuke them, son of God. Rebuke it, daughter of God. Every time fear is present, or the spirit of fear, we are being tempted. And right, the scriptures tell us that there is no time that we are in a situation with temptation that God hasn't already made a way out. 0 times. That's why we can never ever make an excuse for sin. And I don't mean like don't, I mean like literally it's illogical to make an excuse for sin, because God always makes a way out of temptation. Do we sometimes fall short? Yes. Is that ever okay? No. I'm just speaking biblical facts. Like, he always makes a way out of these situations. So when you're tempted to be afraid, or which is essentially doubting God, which is worrying, when you're tempted to be afraid by this spirit that wants to really just like wreak havoc in your life, that's what unclean spirits do. Overcome that temptation. Don't just quickly feed into it and feel all that hot mess. Because once you agree with, like, not, it's, people say agree, but it's really, it's like befriending the spirit of fear. You know, if you have a troublesome friend and you welcome them into your life, they're going to make a mess of your life. The spirit of fear is no different. That's not your friend. Don't be friends with fear. Don't say, I'm afraid, you know, and really mean it. Don't just say, I will not fear. You know, declarations are great, but if there's no actual faith behind them, what are we doing? We have to actually mean the things we say, or we're hypocrites and liars. Rebuke these spirits, and you will start to see after a while, fear will know, I can't get them. That's not my friend anymore. I can't affect them. Your life will change when you stop worrying, when you stop being afraid, when you stop doubting, stop living in unbelief. Do you know that the fearful go to the lake of fire, according to the book of Revelation? It's not your portion. So walk today in your portion. Fearlessness. Be courageous, dear saint, for the one you serve, he is a roaring lion about you.